conversation of water still continues on EconoChat Let's Talk Business with Mr. Daniel Steinman. A warm welcome to our listeners tuned in, and of course a warm welcome to Mr. Daniel Steinman himself. I'm your hostess Elsabi Tibinyani, and yes, we are talking about water yet again.
Yes, again.
And you need to explain why again water.
It is the most important economic element in Namibia. Nothing happens in this country without water. But let me explain why I, for a third consecutive week, decided to talk about water.
Yeah.
Because you and I, we've been talking about the philosophy of water. You know, the broader strokes. No water, no development, no nothing, no economy. Yeah? And then we've talked about the practicality of getting the water, the physical, chemical thing, the element.
Yes.
And I decided today that I want to talk about the difference that it makes or that it can make. And the reason why I've decided on this is because you won't believe it. About a week and a half ago, I was in a shop and somebody recognized me on my voice. Because remember, they don't know what the hell I look like over the radio.
Yeah.
Just by my voice. And I was sort of quite astonished. And this person asked me about water, and he pointed out that we were actually sheep. She pointed out that we were talking about the philosophy of water, the broad concept of water, and where do we get it, and how do we make it, and that sort of thing. And then she asked me, would you not please take one example, not all the waters in Namibia, just one example, and explain to us the difference that water makes to people's lives. So it's on the existential side as well as on the employment side, meaning on the economic side. And that's the reason why I decided to talk about Neckartal. And Neckartal is contentious. You familiar with the whole debate of the last 7-8 years since construction was started. First of all, on the cost of Neckartal, you can recall that. I think the first projections when we started hearing about Neckartal was for about 2.5 billion Namibia dollar. Now, needless to say, or as they say, everything else is history. But eventually, the Neckartal project, where it is now, came to nearly $6 billion. So it's roughly more than double, plus a little bit, more than double, plus a small percentage more than what it was anticipated to be in the beginning. Now, I wrote an article in 2019, and the article actually was about miracles, and Neckartal was one of them. Because if you also recall, the projections for Neckartal to fill up was about 7 years. It would have taken 7 rain seasons to get that big dam full.
Yeah.
Now, if you remember correctly, it filled up in 10 days in 2019. Now, that is a miracle, So the way that I see it from my perspective and my faith is, despite the huge budget overshoot, more than double the cost that we thought initially, there is certainly a blessing in that dam. Otherwise, we would not have had the sign of it filling up in 11 days. That to me was just mind-boggling to think of that massive amount of water accumulating in 11 days. It was really unbelievable. So the point that I'm trying to make is, if you look at Neckartal, we now have the resource. Now, and there was lots of criticism. People were attacking the concept from all sides.
Yeah, they were.
Now the water is there. A huge massive amount of fresh water which we previously did
Didn't
not
have.
have. Now, if you take Hardap as a comparison, I mean, I think Hardap was completed in 1967 or something, around about there. And it also overran its budget, and it was also criticized for being part a ground wall and part a concrete wall, and lots of things. Now, nearly more than 50 years later, can you quantify all the food that was produced at Hardap? Can you quantify all the harvests that were taken from Hardap? And can you quantify the hundreds of people who has made a living from Hardap? So, do you see the whole point?
Yeah.
Even if Hardap cost 3 times more than what it was intended to, over the next 50 years, it became insignificant. The important thing was what was happening at Hardap. What was Hardap used for? Was Hardap productive? And I want to apply that same principle when we consider the benefit of having Neckartal, regardless of not knowing exactly at this point how much we can irrigate, how long we can irrigate, where's the good arable land, that sort of thing. That we'll figure out with time. And I'll talk about that a little bit later.
Okay, but for now we have to go to a short break, so we will be talking about it, so don't go away.